Hi everyone, my name is Saraya Tavornpanich. I'm an epidemiologist at Norwegian Veterinary Institute. And so this work is part of the Med-8 work package for task 4.1. And I will talk about the biosecurity for seabass, seabream farm, focusing on the methodology developed for quantification of biosecurity measures. I will start with the objectives, then the analysis of farm background information from questionnaire survey, and the method for quantification of biosecurity measures, result, conclusion, and recommendations. The objectives of this study were to get an overview of the survey farm characteristics, to identify potential factors associated with high mortality due to infectious diseases. And the main objective was to develop a generic system to quantify on-farm biosecurity measures for seabass and seabream farms. Biosecurity defined by the OIE as the set of management and physical measures designed to minimize the risks of introduction, establishment, and spread of pathogen into and out of aquatic animal productions. Being able to measure is being able to improve. So measuring biosecurity provides a way to pinpoint the actions, evaluate and identify weakness and gaps, and to improve overall farm biosecurity. So in this study, we aim to develop a systematic biosecurity scoring system for Mediterranean European sea bass and sea bream farms on the basis of farm management and biosecurity practice using the method that created for terrestrial animal diseases, which is a well-established method. As the system approached biosecurity in a general manner, focusing on transmission routes shared by numerous different types of infectious diseases. The first step of this work is involved discussion with subject experts, including fish health specialists, veterinarian biologists, and epidemiologists, and review literatures to gain understanding of sequential production flow through the chain of production from hatchery, pre-growing and on-growing facility, and identify transmission routes and actions that have potential for disease introduction and spread. And then a questionnaire was developed specifically for seabass and seabream farms. There were a total of 160 self-explanatory questions structured into 19 sections regarding farm general characteristics, production management, health management, disease reporting, disease diagnostic capacity, and biosecurity practice and record keeping. The questionnaire were administered by in-person interview by our work package partners and subcontractors. A follow-up was done if clarification needed for the questionnaire, and the interview was conducted during August 2018 to July 2019. There were 88 farms from 8 different countries participated. These farms were grouped based on their production stage and location to hatchery, pre-growing, and on-growing. The survey data were entered and kept in Excel database. The data collected from the survey was used to make a descriptive analysis of farm current management status, identify factors potentially associated with high mortality due to infectious pathogens, and the data was also used to develop the biosecurity scoring system. We engaged a master student to perform descriptive statistics, univariate and bivariate statistical analysis under supervision of the task leader, and all analysis was done using R open source software. For the biosecurity security scoring system, a stepwise approach was used with the data that collected from the farm survey. A set of new questions was selected from the survey to form a new data set consisting of questions that are relevant to external and internal biosecurity. The external biosecurity category consists of questions that can be grouped into 7 subcategories. And these subcategories are listed in this blue color for external biosecurity. And as for internal biosecurity category, they also have 7 subcategories, which are listed here in the green color. And this process took into consideration both location and type of activity. Therefore, the number of questions that comprise the external and internal biosecurity category vary by farm location and type of activities. There are 98 questions for hatchery, 99 for pre-growing, 106 for land-based on growing, and 98 for sea-based on growing. And as for the answers to the question were assigned a score ranging from 0 to 1. Farmers get the score depending on how they answer. For example, if they say yes for having a vehicle disinfected before entering into the facility, then they will get score of 1, and 0 if they say no or don't know. And not all biosecurity measures are equally important, as the disease transmission pathway have a different efficiency depending on pathogens. So the score has to be multiplied by weight factor. And to get the weight factor, we require the help of the subject expert. So the expert will ask to give a weight to each question and also allocate 100 points to subcategory. And this table shows the expert opinion for weight of VNN. Then the subcategory and category score were calculated as shown in these equations. And the overall biosecurity score is obtained by calculating the mean between external and internal categories. These are some of the selected results from the descriptive analysis. From the 88 survey farms, the majority, 82% of them were company-owned. 59% were on growing facilities. 52% were facility located in sea. 70% report that there were at least one aquaculture facility within the 10-kilometer radius of their farm. 62% has mixed production, producing both seabass and seabream. 19% used vaccine as their prophylactic treatment. Majority of these facilities were hatchery. And 94% regard the optimal stocking density as the important practice and make the effort to maintain it. All survey farm observe fish feeding behavior. Most of them inspected every time fish are fed, and the rest inspected daily. 92% cleaned and disinfected the tank and cage before and after their stocking fish. 50% report that their staff member also work or regularly visit other facility. And 55 report removing dead fish daily. 94% report running diagnostic tests on the fish stock either to detect the presence of concerned disease or in the presence of unexplained mortality, or if fish show abnormal behavior. 80% report have system in place for disease surveillance, and 80% have contingency plan for disease outbreak. And about 30% of the survey farm experience high mortality due to infectious pathogen in the last 3 years. So the result of our analysis showing that the factors that show significant protective effect against the report high mortality include vaccination, preventing mammalian accessing to the farm, limiting transfer of fish between units, using dedicated equipment for harvesting, vehicle disinfected upon entering, and having contingency plan for environmental degradation. But interestingly, that the result also showed that farm request a health certificate when fish arrive to site from the same company have a higher risk of mortality. And in addition, farm claiming that having record kept for predator control and record kept for sizing the relevant predator also have a higher risk of major mortality. The result of hatchery biosecurity scores, there were 19 hatchery participated. The average of overall biosecurity was 73%. The average of external biosecurity score was 71%, which is slightly lower than the average of internal biosecurity of 74%. And for the external biosecurity, the subcategory with the highest score is personnel and visitor. And the subcategory with the lowest average score is location of the farm. And for internal biosecurity, feed management has the highest score and disease management has the lowest score. The high score obtained in subcategory personnel and visitor and feed management can be explained by the extreme caution taken by farmers in allowing visitor into the farm, requesting that both visitor and staff personnel follow all biosecurity measures to prevent entry of disease, and by extreme care taken for handling fish feed, storing it in the appropriate and conducting feed inspection daily. Regarding the subcategory with the lowest score, according to our findings, the Mediterranean hatchery have a higher risk of disease introduction as a consequence of being more exposed to the environment and by existence of the other aquaculture facility within a 10-kilometer radius. And these facilities are also at a higher risk as a measure of disease management, especially related to the quarantine and health inspection by external officials are not regularly followed. And there were 6 pre-growing farms participate in our study. And the average of overall biosecurity of pre-growing was 75%. The average of external biosecurity score was 69%, and the average of internal biosecurity score was 80%. The low score in the subcategory introduction of live fish was a consequence of non-performance of quarantine period to newly arrived fish and lacking of dedicated facility for quarantine measures. Low score in the subcategory waste management was explained by inappropriate managing and store dead fish by the use of external company and for collecting of waste. And however, these facilities seem to be extremely careful with the water and feed supply to animals, and all farms perform booster vaccination. There were 51 on-growing farm participate in the study that located in open sea. This farm had overall biosecurity score of 59% and average external biosecurity score of 59% and average internal biosecurity score of 58%. The subcategory feed supply and feed management had the highest score, and this could be due to the most facility feeding the fish with commercial feed, and subsequently by storing it properly and carry out regular inspection. And where the subcategory location of farm and vaccination has the lowest score. And one big challenge in maintaining the strong external biosecurity for farm located in open sea was the existence of other aquaculture farms nearby within 10-kilometer radius. And low score for the vaccination category was expected as booster vaccination is rare and difficult to perform in most sea-based units. The first part of this study focusing on data collection through questionnaire to describe the general situation of the industry and see if any production or health management factor were associated with increased mortality due to pathogen. And It is known that the disease is a major constraint in aquaculture, and biosecurity is critical for sustainable development of aquaculture. Land-based productions constitute a pillar for healthy and robust fish being transferred to ongoing phase, and with the high trade activity between farms all over the Mediterranean, it would require that these farms comply with the highest standard of biosecurity and system for early disease detection. And due to the high variability in the responses from the interview farmers, it was not possible for us to run the multivariate analysis of the data. However, the bivariate analysis indicate a strong association between mortality and several of the variables from the questionnaire. So it is possible to interpret these results as indication that farm complying with preventive and controlling measures do see the positive effect on the level of mortality of the farms. And the data collections and variability in database between farms were challenging in this study. Okay. So it's challenging due to the data high variability, and so then the essential data that it's very essential that we need to have data that recorded in the standardized and harmonized system, and should be kept in the way that industry and authority can have access to the good data. The second part of this study emphasized the importance of biosecurity measures by developing a new measurable quantitative biosecurity scoring system. When applying the system for a farm, this system helped to identify gaps and weaknesses in the actual biosecurity plan. The system assists farmers in allocate resource and tailor the biosecurity program to fit the character and pathogen exposure of the specific farms. It's also helped to compare the specific farm with the average score of the obtained by other farms. So the owner can benchmark their farm biosecurity, and this benchmarking will give owner the impelling cause to improve their farm biosecurity. For the future perspective, the system can be modified to fit various other farm characteristics, such as production of Atlantic salmon and tilapia. And this tool is also should be developed as actually this tool is being developed to be a farmer self-assessment tool with a user-friendly automated dashboard that contains functionality, so the farmers who are interested in the objective evaluation of farm and origin biosecurity can have secure access of their own information. Yep. Okay, this one. I think that's finished. Thank you for listening.